My name is Alicia Pugh, and I chose to specifically focus on the misrepresentation of Blacks and Hispanics in the media. More specifically, I wanted to address the problem that Blacks and Hispanics face in the media as far as advertising. Blacks and Hispanics have always had a history of being oppressed and marginalized in the media. Oftentimes, they are portrayed in some type of stereotypical character. And I'll kind of explain that further on in some of my examples. Also, more specifically in the Hispanic community, there's a lot of problems as far as addressing certain audiences, more actually towards like a language barrier. And there's also, again, a more inaccurate representation of certain cultural groups, being, again, kind of based off of stereotypes and assumptions of what a certain ethnic group or racial group is like based in society. So as you can see, these are some examples of some older ads. Again, they kind of pick fun at African Americans, and again, kind of make them more of a comical thing. And then they also do show the subservient side to African Americans, and it does reflect back onto that history as far as the subservient culture that African Americans have had to go through in history. So that's also reflected in the advertisements in the older times. And then also kind of moving with Hispanics, they're also portrayed, again, as a more comical character, very stereotypical character, a lot of times also being the alcoholic in a sense. And we kind of fast forward to today. As much as we would like to think that there has been much improvement, there really kind of hasn't been. It's been just a lot more discreet. As you can look at the picture on the left, it's, even though it's kind of is not directly saying that African Americans are subservient to a white gentleman or a white authoritative figure, you should say, but just the visual aspect is kind of demonstrating that. And then also looking towards like the Popeyes character, when in reality the CEO is actually a Caucasian female, and she kind of does not resemble what the mascot of Popeyes is, which is this kind of almost comical, kind of stereotypical African American Southern character, if you will. And again, if we look at advertisements in the Hispanic community, a lot of Latin Americans are also kind of considered spicy or sexy. So a lot of things are, again, kind of sexualized in regards to Latinos. And then there's also like kind of like the Nacho Libre kind of aspect that, again, more of a stereotypical comical role in regards to the advertisements. So this all kind of goes against the American Advertising Federation principles, and specifically principle number 5. And so this talks about the fairness based on the nature of the audience to whom it's directed towards, and so ads should be accurately representing the ethnic groups. And so again, as I had mentioned previously, that they should also, again, come across effectively as far as communication-wise, whether it being in a certain language or presenting in a certain community that is specific towards whichever group. And also the ads, again, should not be demeaning a certain like ethnic group or racial group. So by kind of poking fun at a certain racial group, again, it kind of undermines and demeans a racial group, even though it's not as apparent as it used to be before. Now it's become more of like a subtlety. So we want to kind of end and break this cycle. So I feel like by understanding the target audience, we're able to kind of address them a lot more. Also, Nielsen did a study, and so they noticed that consumers are more likely to purchase from certain like small businesses, so like black-owned businesses. More African Americans again are kind of more likely to purchase from them. So by getting the kind of small business movement more specifically targeted towards like a certain cultural group, we can start to kind of improve the way that the shape of advertising towards a certain ethnic group. And there was a case study that was actually done more in regards to Britain's diverse advertising. So they did it over 1,000 people, and so with Britain, they a lot of people felt that it was the company or the brand's responsibility to make sure that whoever was in the ads or whatever ethnic group was in the ads were represented fairly. And I feel like that is something that is very telling and that should stay hold too. So with that being said, by understanding the target audience, we'd be able to create a more ethically sound advertisement towards certain ethnic groups, specifically African Americans and Hispanics, and also by promoting different small businesses that are owned by the certain ethnic groups, it might be able to be approached a little bit easier as far as reaching that audience is a little bit more approachable, opposed to the kind of racy, kind of stereotypical comical views that are already down. And again, we just want to kind of break away from the stereotypes that have already been implemented. It's kind of time for a change, and so we don't need to go back to old stereotypes. We can refresh and do new types of advertising that that does not have to involve stereotypes at all.